Shemalechem Mishnah Yomi is continuing in Eiruvin, God willing, wrapping up the second chapter. We are in Perek Beis, chapter 2, Mishnah Hey. Ve'od Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava said a chumrah yesterday about which kind of well we can rely on the posts to get water out of. He said another halacha, Hagina ve'har karpef, a garden or a karpef. Now recall a karpef is an enclosed area that's kind of for other uses. We'll see non-residential uses, storage. Shen shivim ama v'shirayim al shivim ava v'shirayim. If it's 70 and change amot, by 70 and change amot, and we're going to see the change is enough that it ends up being 5,000 square amot, so 70 and a little bit times 70 and a little bit gets you to 5,000. Mukefet goder givuasar tefachim, and it's enclosed with a fence that's 10 tefachim tall. Metotlin betocha, you can carry in there. Now, when can you carry in there? Bilvad, only sheyaheba shomeru, and it has a hut in there. Shomeru is like a hut for a shomer, a watchman, and the guy who has to keep watch over this karpef, over this gina. He's guarding the garden, or he's guarding the storage area, or whatever's in there. So he has like a little hut, a little sukkah or something there for his use. So it has a residential use. O beit dira, or it has some sort of dwelling in there. Or it's near the city, so people go there and they use it. Some Mepharshim say it's within the Tchum Shabbos, so the owner of this area can come there and use it. So then it's still considered enclosed for residential use, so it would be allowed to carry there on Shabbat, because again, it is enclosed. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, now this is a different Rabbi Yehuda, not Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, Rabbi Yehuda ben Eloi. When you see regular Rabbi Yehuda in Shas, Rabbi Yehuda ben Eloi, he says, Afilu ein ba elabor v'siyachamayra metaltim b'tocha. Even if it doesn't have some sort of dwelling, but it has a cistern or a ditch to hold water, or a myra, a cave that holds water, metaltlin b'tocha, because it has something in there for human use. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Rabbi Akiva's opinion about this karpef is, afilu ein ba achat miklelo, even doesn't have one of these things for human use or residency purposes, metaltlin b'tocha, you can still carry in this enclosed area, b'vaji heba shivim ama v'shirayim, al shivim ama v'shirayim, as long as the size is not more than 70 cubits and change by 70 amot and change. So that sounds a lot like the Tanakama, the original opinion. So in the Gemara, they explain that Rabbi Akiva is actually slightly more machmir. He uses the figure, the calculation of 70 and 2/3, because then you end up smaller than 5,000 square amot, whereas the sages allow 70 and 5/7, even though you end up with about half an amma over 5,000 square amot. They're slightly more makel about the size of this enclosed karpef. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Rabbi Eliezer says, Im haya arka yeter al rochba, if the length is bigger than the width, afilu amma achat, even one amma over, and metaltlin betocha, so we can't carry within it. So his opinion is it must be exactly square. It can be up to 70 and 2/3, or maybe 70 and 5/7, as long as it's precisely square. If it is oblong at all, rectangular at all, no good. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, Filu arka pishnayim berochba, even if the width is double the length, metaltlin betocha, you could still carry in this enclosed karpef. So then if it's 5,000, then according to Rabbi Yossi, it could be 50 on one side and 100 on the other side. On to Mishnah Vav, Amar Rabbi Ilai. So the famous Rabbi Ilai said, Shamati Rabbi Eliezer, I heard a halacha from my own teacher, Rabbi Eliezer, afilu hi keveit kur, even if it's the size of a beit kur. Now, a beit kur is much larger than a base seah. It's actually 15 times larger. It'd be 75,000 square amot. So he had heard the halacha from his teacher that it could be much larger than all of these other opinions had said. V'ken shemati, and I also heard other chidushim from his Rebbe, mimenu, from him, anshe chatzer, the people of one courtyard, sheshachach echad mehem, and one of them forgot, v'lo eruv, and he didn't participate in the eruv, which means he didn't contribute anything for the jointly owned food. So what they would do is they would all get together and buy a barrel of wine together. That's actually a great advice to get closer to your neighbors, is go in together and have a case of beer, or a big giant barrel of wine. Now, of course, this barrel of wine was set aside in one of the houses as jointly owned food, as the Eruv. The Eruv is actually the food that's set aside, that's jointly owned, that anyone can partake in, and it's in one of the houses in the Chatzar, in the courtyard, so they all have the right to carry there because it's as if they're all legally sharing that property. So one of them forgot. He didn't contribute, he didn't participate in the sharing. So Beito Asr Milhachnis Lehotzio Lo. So his house, he can't carry in and out of it for him. So he's the one who's out of luck because he didn't participate. Of Olahem mutter, but for the other ones who did participate, the other residents of this courtyard, it would be mutter for them to carry in and out of his house, of the guy who did not join in the Eruv, in participating in the shared food. And I also heard from Rabbi Eliezer another halacha, sheyotzin be'akrovnin bePesach, that you can go out, that you can be yotze with akrovnin on Pesach. Now, what exactly is an akrovnin? It's some sort of bitter herb, like for maror. So instead of the maror that we have, this akrovnin is some sort of vine that grows around the trunk of date palms, and apparently it's quite bitter. And the Mefarshim in the Rambam say that it's called akrov, after scorpion, because the leaves look a bit like scorpions. So if you ever see a vine growing up a palm tree that has scorpion-like leaves, that's what this is. And Rabbi Eliezer says it works for maror. V'chizarti al kol talmidav. And Rabbi Ilai says, I went around to all of his other students. He went to interview all the other students of Rabbi Eliezer, bikoshti li chafer. And I was seeking a friend, in the sense he was seeking to corroborate these chidushim that he had heard from Rabbi Eliezer, v'lo matzati. But I didn't find anyone else who heard Rabbi Eliezer say these halachot, or only Rabbi Ilai had heard them. Shkoyach Rabosai, Zai Gesund.